And a very, very good evening and a very, very good welcome to you all, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast. It's season 8 of our weekly program. My name is Tonchi Prusak, and it is a little bit of a new look to the start of the podcast, and we hope you enjoy it. We hope you like it, and do be active. We do want it to be an interactive show. So as much as possible, get involved through the chat, send us a message, what you're thinking, what you'd like to see on the show, and but obviously, please do keep it civil. Folks, we've got a huge show lined up for today's season opener. We're going to catch up with ADRIAN, who's the director of Coerver Coaching Geelong. Rather extensive interview that was filmed just a few days ago. And there's a lot to talk about with ADRIAN. Lots happening with Coerver Coaching. They are one of our, they are our biggest advertising sponsor. So we really, really sincerely thank him. And our advertisers, sponsors so far this year, we don't have a major sponsor as yet. We are still seeking. So if you do have a small business or a big business, do get in touch with us. Our business advertising sponsors that have committed in 2026 include J Hill Books, Judy Hill, thank you so much. Access High Geelong, a new one jumping on board this year, Chris Carney, Harcourts North Geelong. The Evergreen Grgic family, Joe, Helena and Vesna, thank you so much to Harcourts North Geelong. Eco Duck Geelong as well, Tom and Marinko Palchuk and Stipe Kump. All three are heavily involved with the North Geelong Warriors. And speaking of the North Geelong Warriors, they've got a side business called Sports Line Marking. I'm going to get that right. Big thank you to them. They've also jumped on board as a major, as a business advertising sponsor. Of the clubs, we've got Surf Coast and Geelong Galaxy, who have committed to episode sponsorships. And certainly a thank you to Golden Plains as well, Golden Plains Soccer Club, who have also made a small donation. Any donation is more than appreciated. So we thank every one of those. That's right from the start. Now, we did say Coerver Coaching, we will be catching up with ADRIAN Layer. We'll also be speaking to Stuart BEGG, the coach of the North Geelong Warriors. At the moment, the only club that has started its League 2026 league campaign. But there's also lots of Australia Cup action from the weekend just gone by. The draws for rounds 3 and 4 were conducted about an hour ago. So we've got all of those draw results as well. Geelong Galaxy kick off their VPLW season this weekend coming. And there's also a lot of government lobbying happening this year. It is a state election year. And we'll be talking a lot more about some of the petitions and also some of the submissions that some of the local council at the moment are asking. Heaps happening this tonight. And strap yourselves, folks. It's going to go for about an hour, as it usually does. But we really, really like the fact, and thank you for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show again in 2026.
What do we do at J Hill Books? For some clients, we process their payroll, accounts, and invoicing every week. For other clients, we check their data entry and reconcile their accounting software to their bank statement before lodging their quarterly BAS. We set up new accounting software files and train clients how to use them. We work with clients across varied industries, from hospitality to construction to disability support to professional services and tradies. As we have a team of bookkeepers, we can offer uninterrupted service to our clients. Our preferred method of bookkeeping is using Dext and Xero. J Hill Books is a Xero Gold partner and a registered BAS agent. One important message we would like to convey right now is that from July 1st, 2026, Payday Super is coming. This means all employers need to pay super on the same day they pay their wages. This will have a huge impact on cash flow for employers, and they need to start preparing for this now. Please get in touch if we can help you with this transition. Visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au or contact us on 0402 469 24.
On the weekend, we had the round 2 of the Australia Cup take place. And there's some footage there of the Lara United Hume Bulls game that was played at Lara Recreation Reserve on pitch 2, as the first pitch is undergoing some renovations. Unfortunately, Lara United lost this game 4-0 against the Hume Bulls outfit. Ocean Grove forfeited against Plenty Valley Lions 0-3. And Geelong Rangers lost to Mill Park 1-0. On a positive, Surf Coast defeated Noble Park United 2-0, courtesy of goals by Sam Bickett and John Pikett. We had Deakin Ducks defeat Manningham Juventus 1-0, courtesy of a Finley Duncan goal. And Corio travelled to Hoppers Crossing and easily defeated Hoppers 4-1. Goals by, it was 1-1 after the regulation 90 minutes. Quinton Kipara scoring for Corio, and then in extra time the Eagles managed to score 3 more goals. Kipara scoring his second, James Maguire and Christian Davis also scoring there, getting amongst the goals. Now, as I said earlier today, the round 3 fixtures were held by Football Victoria, and we saw Surf Coast have been drawn at home against Old St Kevin's, which is a team from State 6. So on paper, relatively easy, you'd say. Well, cup football is anything is possible. Deakin Ducks have also been drawn at home against State League 1 opposition Westvale Olympic. Definitely a tougher game that one's going to be. Corio is away to fellow State League 2 outfit Brimbank Stallions. And Geelong are at home to fellow State League 1 outfit LEIJER United, and it will be a festive day. That one, a Macedonian derby. No doubt a big crowd, and no doubt a big travelling crowd as well will be on hand. Now, those games will be played between the 13th and the 16th of March. Games for round 4, they will be scheduled over the Easter long weekend from the 2nd of April, which is a Holy Thursday, through till about Easter Monday, which is, I think, the 7th of April. Now, the winner of Surf Coast and Old St Kevin's will take on the winner of Sunbury United FC Strathmore. The winner of Deakin and Westvale Olympic will take on Langwarren. The winner of Corio or Brimbank will take on Keilor Park. Geelong and LEIJER United, the winner of that will take on the winner of Balmoral or Sydenham Park. And North Geelong Warriors have been drawn against Casey Comets, or the winner of the Casey Comets or Old Scotch. So there's going to be quite a few games, a few results, a few interesting results in round 3 to see whether or not that's going to continue in round 4. If we do have a look at those Australia Cup results, just a recap there, and you can see all of those results there. Do apologise, we didn't have the Geelong Rangers game for that one. Now, moving along to NPL 1, North Geelong, as we said at the top of the show, at the moment they are doing very, very well. 3 games, 3 wins, and currently sitting second on the ladder behind the Northcote City, just on goal difference. Northcote City has a goal difference of +7, North Geelong +3. Now, over the weekend, the Warriors record a come-from-behind 2-1 win over Melbourne Serbia at Alco Park. Anthony Barnabas scoring the equaliser, Sonny Bruma scoring in the second half. This Friday night, massive game, top-of-the-table clash. Northcote City taking on North Geelong Warriors at John Cain Reserve in Northcote. Kickoff there is 8:30 p.m. Now, if you've just tuned in, later on tonight we'll be catching up with the coach of the North Geelong Warriors, Stuart BEGG, and he's got a lot to talk about what has been happening in the off-season down at Alco Park. This weekend is the start of the Victorian Premier League women's competition. It kicks off on Friday night with Bundoora United and Brunswick Juventus. That'll be followed by Clifton Hill versus Melbourne Uni and Ballarat City versus Bayside Argonauts on Saturday. On Sunday, Banyule City are at home to Southern United. Manningham United Blues are at home to Eltham Redbacks. But for us here in Geelong, what is most interesting for us and what is most relevant for us is Geelong Galaxy United kick off their 2026 campaign against Ringwood City, and that game is up at Myers Reserve at 3 p.m. Speaking of the Galaxy, thank you so much to new President Aaron Petman and the crew at Geelong Galaxy. Geelong Galaxy is one of two clubs, along with Surf Coast FC, who have committed to an episode sponsorship this year. So on the 16th, in 2 weeks' time, we will have a Geelong Galaxy themed episode. But a big game coming up this weekend, their first home game. In fact, I think they've got something like 3 or 4 home games in a row. Now, in early February, Football in Geelong is entering its next chapter. You'll start to see updated branding across the Football Geelong platforms as they align under Football Victoria Geelong as part of a statewide regional structure. Now, what doesn't change? Our role supporting football across the region, which includes local competitions, representative programs, coach education, community development, and the name and visuals are evolving. Our commitment to Football in Geelong remains the same. That is the message from Football Geelong. Now, for more information, please visit Football Geelong's website at www.footballgeelong.com. We did mention earlier in the program that this year is a big year with regards to lobbying for lobbying for better facilities. And look, Colac Otway Shire have already put out a expression of interest or submission request for a Colac Otway football soccer facilities draft feasibility studies. So if you do go along to that website there, it's the colacotway.vic.gov.au. The draft facility study provides a strategic plan for how football soccer facilities can best be delivered. Now they've identified a preferred hub, which to establish a dedicated soccer hub within the Colac area, which is long overdue. And they're suggesting the former Colac High School would be the ideal place for that. So if you are from Colac, or you are interested, or you play Colac Otway Rovers and you want to see some better facilities, then do get in touch with the Colac Otway Shire via that website. Now, in early February, Football Victoria launched the Level the Playing Field parliamentary petition at Football Victoria's 2026 Club Administrator Conference in Melbourne. It was launched with the full support of the newly created Parliamentary Friends of Football members, State Labor member for Pascoe Vale, Anthony Cianfione, I think I got that right, and the Liberal member for Hawthorn, John Pasuto. Two Italian-sounding names. What could go wrong? On opposing sides of the political spectrum. Well, Football Victoria is calling on the state government to commit new investment and resources to help football in Victoria grow. We know how important this is, and so every single one of you out there need to be active and need to get involved. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, whether you're a soccer parent, whatever the case may be, just simply a supporter, we need your voice to be heard. So we are urging you all to jump on and sign the petition now at the following website, www.ftbl.vc/LTPF petition. there's a little short video about this particular launch.
I love the game through and through. I love politics, of course, but I love football just as much. And in my time, and John and I have been talking the other day as well, we're doing everything we can to promote the game through this establishment of the Parliamentary Friends of Football Victoria, because no other sport, honestly, can unite communities, countries and nations like football.
We do everything we can to promote it at the grassroots level, and that does depend, not entirely, but it depends substantially on facilities and the sorts of things that will attract young families in particular to bring their kids to your clubs and to other clubs to keep you strong as local organisations, but also to make sure we've got players coming through the system which can just sort of ensure the health and sustainability of the game.
We're hoping to get Dan Burrell, the Football Victoria CEO, on one of our shows coming up. We did put out a request if he could come on the show tonight, but unfortunately has been busy with obviously the Oceania Football Championships at Football Victoria and also the Asian Women's World Cup kicking off this week as well. But we hope to have him on the show in the not too distant future. And we'll hopefully also speak to someone from Football Geelong, because that is a very, very important, an act, something, a cause, if for want of a better word. It's certainly something that we need to really, really push. We're going to take a very short break. When we return, it's time for our very, very first guest. It is a pre-recorded interview with ADRIAN, the director of Coerver Coaching Geelong. I caught up with him just a few days ago down at Surf Coast Football Club. Season 8, yes. Wow, what a way to kickstart our 8th season with a very, very good friend of ours of the show and mine personally, ADRIAN, director of Coerver Coaching Geelong and former Socceroo, of course. ADRIAN, welcome back to another year of, another year around the sun.
Tonchi, good to see you again. As always, I love what you do and love what you do for the Geelong football community. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, now it's no surprise that we find ourselves at Banyul Warrior Reserve, Surf Coast Football Club. Surf Coast, one of our big supporters, one of the first clubs, and big shout out to Steve Christou and Brett King of the program. But we'll talk about Surf Coast later, because obviously Coerver Coaching has got that connection with Surf Coast. But before we talk about that, it's been a very busy off season, very busy summer, even though I guess we haven't really had so much of a summer to talk about. But mate, have you had a chance to have a bit of a break, have a bit of a holiday, or?
Yeah, no? I mean, I think everyone says that, but I'm also like, everyone's lives are busy. But yeah, we have had a busy off season, I suppose you can call it. For us. We finished the year off with our Summer Cup, which is just such an awesome tournament that just keeps getting bigger and bigger each year, and hopefully next year we can get on the grass pitch as well as the synthetic and grow it even more. So that was that was great. And
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the numbers, as you said, seem to get bigger and bigger. And it's like at the end of the year, and how are you finding it? Are the kids kind of really excited about it? Are the parents sort of saying, oh, no, not another football program that we got to get involved in? Or are they, that time of year being the weather's a little bit better, days are longer. How obviously it's being received very well, but your own experiences of it, tell us.
Yeah, I love it. And I think what I sort of say to most people is when I design or come up with ideas and things like that, it's what I wanted as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And when I set up the Summer Cup and we had set up the pitches for the first time and the way we had it, the live music, the food trucks,
Mm-hmm.
the festival atmosphere. And I was excited as a 40-year-old man about what was going on. And I was just like, I wish I was out there playing.
Yeah,
so for a 10-year-old kid to be finishing up school on a Friday going, I get to go down to the club and have a kick with my mates in a 5v5 tournament. Mum and dad can, have a drink and have some food and spend a few hours down there. I just absolutely love it. And I think the only thing we missed this year was probably the weather. It wasn't the greatest summer.
Yep.
But I think from a development perspective, the kids, their seasons are quite short. So to give them that extra, I suppose, term of football and enjoyment with their friends and probably take a little bit of pressure out of, your 9v9 or things like that. Just make it a 5v5, make it fun. It's a great format. And, as I said, I think it will grow year on year.
Yeah, it's just the landscape certainly does seem to change year on, year out. There's a lot more programs now happening 12 months of the year. And we've seen with the Masters. The Masters used to be that February, March kind of thing. Now they've gone into the December and, obviously taking advantage of the nicer weather, so to speak. But do you find like, there's a bit of player fatigue and some of the kids have tantrums, at the end of a school day and things like that? Oh, no, they generally love being out there. And as you said, it seems to be a real party type of atmosphere.
Yeah, it's cool, and that's kind of why I do it, because I want to make it exciting and it's different. There's a lot of energy going around. The games are pretty short and sharp, and the kids, they design their own uniforms. They they do all that sort of stuff, and so they're excited by it. And it's as I said, the reason we do 5v5 is because they get more touches on the ball. Whether they're the best player on the team or the worst player on the team, that they're always involved. So yeah, it's another football tournament, but the 5v5 format is very much a developmental program as well.
And are you finding a lot of the kids, they come, talk about it at school, they make their own little social teams, and are you finding that a lot of the kids that over the winter would miss out on football, so they might be playing AFL or basketball or tennis or rugby or whatever, that they actually end up playing soccer, taking up football, which is going to feed into my next question about numbers, the staggering increase in junior numbers. But have you found that there's a lot of kids that are being introduced to the sport at these summer camps, summer cups, sorry to speak?
Yeah, heaps. There's thinking off the top of my head, there's even kids there that we've gone, hey, look at that kid, he's never played football before.
Really? Yeah.
And, he's, kids like that are now in our performance academy. We've, put him in front of Melbourne Victory and things like that. And say, hey, come and have a look at this kid. It's funny because on a Friday night here during the summer, the basketball is also on just over the road, and a lot of those families walk out, see what's going on, come and have a feed, come and have something to drink, and sort of get around the sport as well. So, yes, I think everything we're doing, particularly in the Surf Coast Torquay area, it is having a really positive impact on the game.
Yeah. But it also seems to me to be kind of permeating throughout the rest of the football community. And, there's a lot of teams and clubs in the northern suburbs that end up sending teams and what you're not. So it seems to be really, you're almost doing Football Victoria's job of promoting the sport, aren't you?
Well, it's funny to say, but I think, and when I retired, I was cooked from the game. I was mentally, physically, I was exhausted. And I was like, I just need time away from the game. But once I stepped foot back on the pitch, I was like, I almost felt like I had a responsibility to share my knowledge, share my passion, share, all of those things that you've spent your life doing with kids, with this community. And I think it's because of, I just realised that I owed the game something, and I think the more people that go out there and do that, it's just going to benefit the game to the greater. So instead of people sitting back going, "Oh, football should be here, here, and there," well, it's go and do something about it. And I think that's sort of my I suppose philosophy or legacy now. It's go and help the juniors in the community, and I think we're doing quite a good job at the moment.
Getting off the track here, is there enough of that? Is there enough of past players, past administrators, past people who have been involved in the sport, coaches, deciding that the game owes them something and they feel obliged to do something to promote? Or do we still see a lot of people in it for their own reasons, whatever that may be?
Oh, look, I think it's a hard one to really pinpoint like that, but I think it's more, as I said, from a personal point of view, I sort of sat back and it was literally the first training session I was out there with my daughter, and I just knew that I had to be out there doing something and giving back. And the game's been great to me from a professional point of view, and playing all around the world and doing those sorts of things. But I just knew that I'm in Torquay. The kids down here traditionally haven't had access to fantastic football programs and coaching and things like that, and so I sort of just took it on my own shoulders and thought, you know what, I'll start this. I'll provide a elite program, which I think I do. The quality in everything we do is top notch, and you talk about numbers and things like that, and I think it sells itself because we run such a good program. And I say to my coaches, if another program comes in somewhere nearby or in Melbourne or whatever, and they're doing a job as good as us, then hats off to them, because it's hard work.
It is. It's as much as we're starting to see the fruits of the labour here in the Geelong region, it's still a very tough environment, tough market to crack. But speaking of which, we are starting to see the fruits of the labour here in this area, in this vicinity, I guess. Surf Coast, the first club that Coerver Coaching Geelong partnered with in the region, and just several weeks ago, a few weeks ago, I was reading in the Surf Coast Times, there's talk that this year in 2026, Surf Coast could crack the 1,000 registered player number, which would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, absolutely unheard of. I mean, on par with some of the super clubs of Melbourne. That's what we're talking about. And look, a fair bit of it has been to do with a lot of the coaching programs here through Coerver Coaching here at Surf Coast. Are you staggered as much as I am by that figure?
Yeah, it is cool, and I think the stats last year, I think we were the 6th biggest club in Victoria, and I think 7th biggest in terms of female participation, something along those lines. And for that to be happening in a town which is probably traditionally a footy town, and to see the amount of kids now, with a round ball in their hand, or I do school drop off, and it's really cool because I know every second kid. It's Ado, how are you? It's sort of just walk around like that. So it's really cool just to see how many kids now love the game. And yes, we've had a significant impact down here. It hasn't by any means been all us. But just to know that we are impacting kids' lives, they're fit, they're healthy, they're learning to love the game. I'm actually going overseas with 2 dads of girls that I've coached soon for a football tour, and they're non-football people.
Yeah.
So we're going over to catch some games, and I'm just going to take them around England and wherever else we can get to, and watch some football, because they've learnt to love it, and it's just through their kids playing.
Isn't that interesting? Through kids, yeah, kids are the bosses these days. They really dictate a lot of what you do as a family, yeah. Now, we're moving along to something over the off-season, I guess, that was probably maybe just as fun in one hand, but the reasons for it were probably a little bit more sadder, so to speak, and that's the Cooney family here in Torquay. Very well known around football traps. The daughter, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Matilda. And something that you did in conjunction with Surf Coast was a benefit action, if you like, an online action, as well as a benefit day. Mate, tell us all about that, because it was quite a massive event and a massive success as well.
Yeah, it was. It was, I think the news around Jess's health was really hard to take.
Yeah.
and in terms of knowing, you know, the family, I've known them for a long time, and you know, they've been part of, you know, Surf Coast FC for a long time, and you know, my dealings when I worked at Adidas, I you know, assigned Kyra to the brand, and really got to know her quite well, and you know, through that, her mum Jess and the wider family. So as soon as I found out, I spoke to Steve from the club and said, mate, we need to do something here. We need to try and support as much as we can. And I think within a week we pulled together a day out on the pitch for the kids. And I think that the most pleasing thing for me was, yes, we raised a significant amount of money, but you know, my girls group, for example, they built a cake store. They made their own cakes. I think themselves, they raised around, I think it was $1,300.
Yep.
They made signs. They were, you know, the preparation they put into it was really cool, and that was kind of my message to the kids. It was, you know, we live in a community to support people when they're going through these tough times, and you know, for the community to rally together and support Jess and the family was, you know, it was really cool to see.
Now, you said a word there that just resonated with me, community, and I think that's where I think you measure the success of football clubs or sporting clubs when they can actually create a community around the club. And I think those are the clubs. I mean, we look at some of the clubs around Geelong that have been around for 50 odd years, the North Geelong Warriors, the Geelong Rangers, Geelong in all its different type of elements, I suppose, reincarnations, Bell Park, and a lot of them were based around ethnic communities, but they managed to maintain their community. And here you said about Surf Coast in particular, it comes from a town that was an AFL town, but it's really starting to develop its own community. And I think most people, when they come down here, they really feel that sense of community. And that was just such an incredible, I guess, example of that community being created. And in many ways, I think that's when a club knows it's graduated to the next level, when it becomes, you know, the centre of a community. And kudos to everyone involved with that particular action. But $22,718 was raised for the Cooney family. Fantastic. But there was a training session, there was a sausage sizzle, cake stall, online auction, and there was obviously a Kyla Cooney Cross signed Arsenal jersey, and Juan Mata signed Melbourne Victory jersey. So all in all, was an amazing day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supported by, you know, so many people, and so many, you know, people you know, donated items for the auction and things like that. But yeah, as I said, it was a really important thing for us to do. And you know, you talk about clubs, and I think clubs sometimes lose sight that the actual reason they exist is for the community. And to see, even here, like on a Friday night, you see all the kids, they train outside, and the upstairs here is packed for hours. And just, you know, seeing what happens around the football is probably, if not or just as important as what happens on the pitch.
Absolutely. We're speaking with ADRIAN, former Socceroo legend, and he's the director and head coach of Coerver Coaching Geelong. After this break, we're going to speak a little bit about the Asia Pacific Performance Camp in Canberra, and also the plans for 2026. Don't go away.
The world is yours. So work hard, and you can have whatever it is you want.
And we're back here at the Surf Coast Football Club with ADRIAN LEIJER. Now, ADRIAN, over the off season, we call it the off season, but it's I might as well call it the on season.
Yeah.
How busy things get. But you had the chance to jump up to Canberra for the Coerver Coaching Asia Pacific Performance Camp. Now that's for 3 days, and it's a massive event, isn't it? From the coaching courses that they do, plus the clinics that they do, and there's so much involved in it, and that's kind of, I guess, aimed more at the elite element of the kids. Is that right? Tell us a bit more about what that involves.
Yeah, so there's about 400 kids head up to Canberra, so it is a big week. There's a lot going on. It's not necessarily aimed at the elite kids. It's more aimed at kids from all around Australia and Asia Pacific, and they sort of come into Canberra, and we had a really great time. We organised to all stay in the same hotel. We organised some dinners together as a big group, and ice baths between trainings and swimming, and I always talk about it, as I spoke about with Surf Coast. The really important thing for me, and what I remember throughout my junior playing days and even my professional days, is what happens away from the field. So the kids just had an awesome time hanging out.
And for a lot of them, is this probably their first experience of real professionalism, like on tour, staying as a team, all of the having breakfast together, all of those little things, as you say, off the field that makes a team so much a team.
Yeah, the parents still travel with their children, so it is their own. Their parents are looking after the individual, but we had 35 kids from Geelong. We had 90 people travelling as the group in total, and it was just really cool to be away, and the parents could relax a little bit. The weather was fantastic. Really good time of year to go to Canberra, and there's so much to see there too. So it was a great experience. I've done it 2 or 3 times now, and obviously I'll be doing it for many more years to come.
No, they say Canberra's a boring city, but I don't know. I always found going there, all right, for a weekend maybe, there's always something to see, something to do, and especially if there's a major event like, for example, the Asia Pacific Performance Camp, it just seems to personify exactly that. Now, at the actual camp, there were 3 Geelong players who were awarded Player of the Camp awards. Pretty amazing achievement. Tell us about the fabulous trio there.
Yeah, so it was my daughter Macy. She won the under-10s one, which was nice because she can never win one when I'm in charge. So it was nice that she got recognised, and she deserves it too. So she did well, and Edie Andrews, she won the under-13. Girls Player of the Camp, and she also won our Performance Academy Player of the Camp last year. So she's a delightful kid and doing really well. She's kicked on to Galaxy now, and still coming to do stuff with us on Monday nights before she trains. And one that is just a pleasure to coach and doing really well. And then young Hadley was the other one. He won the
Hadley
Eaton, the boys under-12s. Again, it was his second time going.
So how do they award them that? Is it just based on observation, this and that, or are there games and they actually watch them playing games, and how do they actually come across to selecting them?
It's more the individual coaches who coach that group for the week. So they're pretty much with that group for most mornings, and then in the afternoons they break out and play the World Cup tournaments and stuff that they play. So pretty much feedback from those guys. I know there were a couple of other Geelong kids that were names were put forward and very close to winning it too. So we had a really good showing, and I always say our kids do really well up there.
That's awesome to see. And one other thing about that as well is for the coaches as well, the coaches that go up there and they're probably, do they do coaching courses there as part of the whole weekend as well? So they get an opportunity to invest in themselves as well?
Yeah, so the coaches went up on the Monday. The camp doesn't start till the Thursday. So they did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, coach education, development, and everything that comes with that. And then, from Thursday to Sunday, they're flat out because they're on the pitch with the kids. And then, as you know, once you get back to the pool, the kids just want to be with the coaches in the pool. So we did some recovery sessions and some ice baths with them. And we had good fun. It's a really cool experience for the kids, even just having dinner with us and hanging out together. It's a lot of fun.
And from an Australian national perspective, how is Coerver going? I mean, obviously, Coerver here in Geelong and its surrounds is going great guns thanks to you and your team of coaches. But how is it going around the country?
Yeah, I think, look, it's been in Canberra for 25 years now,
Yeah.
so they're really well established, and they're the leaders in our region. Geelong's doing a fantastic job, but as I said earlier, we need to keep pushing, need to keep growing, and need to keep making sure the program is at that level that I expect it, and that ultimately for me it comes down to the coach education and their development, because they're the ones that need to roll out the program to the level I expect. So that's a big focus of ours. Sydney, the APAC TD has taken over Sydney, so he's been with Coerver for 22 years. So he's trying to establish that program to the levels that it should be. And Melbourne is just ticking along. They've been going for a long time too. So I know there's interest in other locations, but for me, I really just try and focus on what we're doing, because I know there's so much time and effort and things that you need to put into, making sure the program is doing what it should be. And we're doing a good job. Like, I've looked at Ballarat and Bendigo. I've thought about it, but I just don't want to take my focus away from here at the moment.
And it is growing. It is expanding, because not only are there more and more kids starting to enrol in Coerver from what we can see, and there are more and more programs, but over the course of the summer, you also stitched up 2 new partnership agreements. So obviously, when we talk about club partnership agreements, Surf Coast was that first club partner that you had in the region. But now you've gone up north of the Barwon River, so to speak, and North Geelong Warriors. Now that's a huge thing, because obviously the Warriors have for many years been known as the leaders as far as junior football. But now it's taking it to a whole new level. But it's not obviously just North Geelong, but it's the kids up in the northern suburbs as well that get that exposure. How did that come about?
Yeah, look, I think, to be honest, the way it came about was my girls team, who I've coached since under sevens, and Stipe from North Geelong.
Yep, Stipe, cool. Yep.
Yeah, he was sort of involved in their rep team, and saw the girls and sort of asked a lot of questions about their development, what they'd been doing, and everything. And I think that was probably what triggered his thought of, this could benefit North Geelong a lot. And I've been saying it for years. I've been really trying to, get clubs in the north to in a way accept us, because I think
do they still fear you as a competitor in a way?
Well, North Geelong obviously doesn't now, but I think some clubs see us as a distraction rather than a support mechanism. And we are here to support the kids and support their development, and all the kids coming through our program. I guarantee you, none of them getting worse. So we're doing a really good job in that development space, and it's awesome to have a North Geelong who, as you said, historically, probably the biggest and proudest club from the region, and to be able to align with them, we're starting at the bottom, and I'm sure, as you've seen at Surf Coast, that the relationship's just going to grow, and so now we've got Surf Coast and North Geelong, and it's we're proud of it.
And no surprise that both those clubs have got in the junior girls space CPL teams, so that's the next step before they get to NPL girls juniors, or whatever you want to call it now. So it's changing every Football Victoria changes the labels every year, but it is obviously a great, I guess, a sign of things that, like the incredible growth that's happened at Surf Coast. You can expect that up in the northern suburbs, which has always been very, very popular. Now, that's on the club front, but as far as schools go as well, there's an exciting development there as well, which is going to really have a big impact on a lot of kids, well, south of the Barwon, and that's we're talking about the Lutheran College. Tell us more about that connection.
That's another big one, and we've got a fantastic relationship with Geelong College, and done a really really good job within their football program as well, and that's growing at rapid rates. And then to be able to get the opportunity with Geelong Lutheran, which is in the Armstrong Creek area, and it's enabled us to open up a performance academy this side of town as well. So that's been that relationship's again only in its early stages, but we've got some really great plans, PE classes, GISA programs. supporting them from, kinder to year 12 basically. And it's exciting that we've got, 2 schools, 2 partner clubs, and we're going to be impacting a lot of kids.
Yeah. No, that's the opportunities are plentiful, and the kids of this region have never had such great quality programs and quality coaches to choose from. But you mentioned the Performance Academy. That's now taking things to a whole new level. And from personal experience, I know with my little boy, I've seen how much that has aided the development, and in particular the technical development of a lot of these kids. Now there's 2 Performance Academies, so let's talk about that. The existing one that's been there for, is it 3 years now running, up at the Leisure Time Centre?
Yep.
Yeah. And then this new one now at Lutheran College. How are you finding it? Has splitting the 2, has it sort of, brought the numbers a little bit down, or is it actually kind of now giving more kids more opportunities? How is it operating? How is it working?
Well, I over-ordered with my product, and I'm literally at my bare bones at the moment. So it's look, it's been great, the reaction. Yeah. I expected an increase because, as you said, the kids themselves are now, parents are seeing their performances on the pitch. They're obviously going to tell their kids what they're doing, and the program itself is selling itself. So it's great to see the numbers increasing, and the way that it's set up. Our second session at Norlane is packed. Our Geelong Lutheran session is packed. Probably the only one which is maybe a little light on is the first session at Norlane on a Monday. But even that one, we've got 4 groups running, and they're a really good standard. And I'm sure that one will fill up as well eventually. So going really well. It's a great program. We finished the year off last year with a sort of 6-hour performance day at Geelong College, and that was one of my favourite days, and that wrapped up our year. So stuff like that with the Performance Academy, we just do those little extras, and the kids get a little bit more, and it's a lot of fun. The thing that I love about it most is probably the connection they make with their coach, and they hold that connection throughout the whole year. And at the end of the year, you get these really nice cards from kids and parents, and all that sort of thing, and they really appreciate the effort that's gone into it. And the kids they're doing a great job. If they don't put the effort in, then they don't get the reward. So they're all doing a really good job.
Phenomenal. Well, it just seems like you've really got your hands full, and it's quite an exciting year ahead. So, mate, wish you all the best. And once again, thank you so much for your support of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast and everything that we're trying to do to promote the sport. But wishing you all the best. But before we let you go, we're going to play a little clip now of a project that a good friend of mine, Matt Windley from Bruce Media, is involved in, and it's about the a project that they're involved in. But just recently, they had this episode of their new show, new documentary, if you like, about the idea or the concept of Geelong getting its own A-League club and what that would mean for the region. And yourself and another legend of the region, Josip Skorka, was interviewed. Folks, just have a watch of this video, this short excerpt, and we'll be back.
For people in that area to get behind it.
We've got to get the team right. That's the first thing. And I know it might sound easy picking a team, but there is hundreds of clubs out there, and finding the right one is like finding a needle in a haystack. I'm not going to lie, a few of us in the office have been spending a bit of time scrolling around on Google Maps looking at the most suitable club, but there's just so many to choose from. In the end, we narrowed it down to 3 areas. Obviously, we don't know everything about these areas, so we thought it would be a really good idea to go speak to a couple of soccer legends that live in these areas or have played in these areas.
Geelong is an amazing place. North Geelong Soccer Club was a place I played all my junior football, all my memories, all my mates, everything's from this Geelong region.
The Surf Coast, it's one of the best places in the world. It's a really active community. Everyone wants to be out doing a sport. And for me, soccer's really taking off. It's really, really growing. Geelong, the population's booming. The Surf Coast, it's going crazy as well. You look at the Geelong Cats and see how proud the city is. Everyone here would take ownership of the club. I don't know if you could put the blue and white hoops on them, but I think if you had a Geelong team, a Geelong brand that they could all follow, I think there'd be a lot of people that would jump on board and support it.
I think with the population it has and the type of passionate clubs that it has in the region, it can have a club and a successful one at that.
I think it's a parochial town that would absolutely get behind its own team.
Yeah. Are there many clubs in that area that would fit the bill?
I think that's possibly the question. I'm not sure if there's a standout. I also think the footy thing is an interesting one. I think it would be okay for a while this is like a lovely little club sort of like down the tiers, but if it was starting to get really popular, I reckon they'd find ways to quash it.
Well, Ado, that was a really interesting interview, and I found that quite an interesting thing because it conjures up all sorts of, whether something like that was to happen or not happen, and let's put everything aside and let's talk about the hypotheticals. If Geelong was to get an A-League side or a side in the Australian Championship or whatever the case may be, but truly a side that represents the entire region and is playing at let's say, a state-of-the-art stadium, bearing in mind it is a state election year, so the pollies will probably start coming out and promising the world. But hypothetically speaking, Geelong's got a team in the A-League, a club in the A-League. What would it do for the region, in your opinion?
Oh, look, I think it'd be amazing if it happened. The reality of it happening, it's probably unlikely, but I think you talk hypotheticals, what you can't ignore is the number of kids playing in this region. And I think what you also can't ignore is the quality of the kids in this region. There's a lot of kids out there playing and there's not enough space. There's not enough pitches. I know at Surf Coast we're struggling to find appropriate times for the kids to train. So I think if you did have a centralised club, if you did have a club which was, as I said in the video, Geelong branded, something that, people would genuinely get behind, I think it would work. The thing is there's so many football fans out there, but they tend to go and watch the English Premier League or things like that. So they are out there. It's just creating a product where they're genuinely attached to and have pride in. And that's why I said if you get the blue and white hoops on it, everyone in Geelong would be behind it.
Maybe like Queen's Park Rangers or something like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure it's a topic that won't go away too quickly. And as we start to develop the kids that are going to go on to playing, whether it's in the NPL or the NPLW, we're starting to get, I think there's 3 or 4 Geelong girls in the NPLW. We've got 3 or 4 Geelong players in the NPL as well, competition. So bit by bit, that kind of pool of talented players starts to grow as well. It is interesting. It is exciting, no doubt. Whatever the future holds, I'm sure ADRIAN, LEIJER and Coerver coaching will be right in the midst of it. And once again, mate, all the very best for the season 2026 and beyond.
Thanks, Sonchi. You too, mate. And it's great to be on board again.
Good on you. ADRIAN, LEIJER, Director of Coerver Coaching Geelong. We're going to take a short break and continue with our season opening episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast.
EcoDuct is a Geelong-based business which manufactures an environmentally friendly low-profile duct system that is specifically designed for high-rise apartment applications where limited ceiling spaces are common. The innovative duct system is used to exhaust kitchen and bathroom ventilation where there are limited ceiling spaces. The only Australian-made PVC duct supplier in the country, EcoDuct, has full control over its stock and has an unlimited supply to ensure all projects run smoothly. They are 30% cheaper than the imported products and are 100% Australian made. Made from best environmental practices, their products are made of up to 50% recycled material and is 100% recyclable and compliant to all Australian standards. For more information, call EcoDuct now on 03 5278 5573. That's 03 5278 5573 or visit their website at ecoduct.com.au. EcoDuct are proud sponsors of the North Geelong.
Welcome back to the season opening episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and my next guest, it's always a pleasure having him on. We've had him on frequently, and with North Geelong being the only club at the moment that is in league action, and boy, what a start to the VPL1 season it has been. We're today focusing on the North Geelong Warriors senior men's team, and it's a pleasure to welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, Season 8, Stuart Beggs. Beggsy, how are you?
I'm well, thanks for having me.
Well, we're coming to you from the senior men's changing room, and well, what a start to the season. This place provides a lot of inspiration, but how good is that? Like 3 wins from 3 games. Honestly, did you expect at the start of the season the team would be doing so well?
No, not really. I mean, it's going to be a tough league. We've come from a league below. So when we've come into this league, 3 tough games. We had Melbourne Knights round 1, tough game. Then North Sunshine Eagles away, another tough game. And then obviously Melbourne Serbia here at home. Realistically, you're looking at maybe 2 wins and a draw maybe, or maybe 2 wins, or definitely not 3 wins. But, you know, the boys have applied themselves well so far.
Now, I had the privilege of commentating the first game against the Knights there at Churchill Reserve. What a crowd, first of all, 2,000, that's what the organisers said, estimates. Awesome crowd. The atmosphere was fantastic. Conditions were absolutely beautiful. But watching the team play, it was a really, really disciplined, but also to me, I felt it was a very physically strong side. They weren't taking a step back. Is that something that's maybe been kind of ingrained into the team for this season, because it is going to be a pretty physical competition, isn't it, VPL1?
Absolutely. We've come a long way, and one of the big things I have mentioned before is that this group has been together for a few years, and they've grown together, and they've, you know, the young guys, you know, they came into this league in 2024, and they hadn't played too much senior games. Now we're back in the same league, and these guys have played like, you know, 50 senior games now. So they're a lot stronger, they understand, and they've grown together. So the unity in the room is important, and that, you know, when things get tough, you band together, and that's a big part of us.
Yeah. Now, in the off-season, there hasn't been a lot of recruits, but the recruits that have arrived here at Alco Park seem to be very, very focused and very strategic. And one of those recruits is a prodigal son. He's returned back to the club, former junior Patrick Wall, who had a stint at Victorian. He scored the first goal, and he's been very, very prominent since. How good is it having Wally back here at Alco Park?
Well, I've never had much to do with Wally when he was here before, and bringing him in this year was more for him than anything else. But he's been dynamite so far. He's come into the team. He grew into it. Like, it took a while to sort of get up to the speed of the way we play. But he started really, really strong, and he gives us another avenue in a wide area, which is, you know, we're quite prominent in.
And you talk about stability, which is such an important part, and particularly the main part of the Warriors, I guess, team formation is very, very stable. But also the fact that you're telling me off air, the lack of injuries so early in the season, and with hard grounds and you know, pretty strenuous pre-seasons, most clubs have that issue, and in years gone by we've had that issue here at Alco Park of lots of injuries, but this year it seems to be a case of there's not that many injuries.
You say that now, but if you looked at
Touch
us,
wood.
if you looked at us pre-season, and everyone inside this room would know, we actually didn't get a full team in the park until round 1.
Right.
We had a lot of injuries from the year before, players pushing through things by the end of last year that carried over into this year. At one stage, I had 1 defender for 3 weeks, and we sort of worked around that as best we could. But our fitness has been one of the big aspects of our game. In the last 3 years, we run a professional program. We've got a company that takes care of our S&C. We track everything. And to the point of training sessions are all tracked, so we know how hard players are working, so they might be carrying injuries, and that is benefit. So we're able to push players to their limits during the week, so come game time they continue on that trend and knowing how to recover and then rinse and repeat again. But last year we were very blessed with not much injuries, and hopefully because of the same program, hopefully same thing again.
Well, there you go. That's answered my next question. Was going to be a case of, is it more luck that it's sort of actually eventuated the way it has, or is it actual management? And it seems to me it's that professional management behind the scenes. We're going to take a little look at this clip, and this is on your Instagram on the weekend prior to the actual game. But I just want you to watch this clip. Okay, well, that was a little clip. And for me, what that does is it epitomises just how professional the approach is. Well, we saw I mean, it would look like an A-League. What are you talking about, A-League? An EPL dressing room, the way it was kind of set out, everything with the lollies and bananas and Gatorades and all of that. But everything else looked so well. How important is that professional approach to games, planning, all of that, all those little 1%ers that eventually end up in success that we've seen over the last, 18 months here at North?
Look, it's a pretty big part. Me and Sean are really big on routines, and the players are also big on routines.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is, as coaches, is obviously we've got stuff to do at training track and on the field on game day and everything. But we try to make it that the players are literally just turning up and playing. They don't have to worry about all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. So we do everything we can. Obviously, the players understand that. But when they walk into the room, they basically turn up with the bag day and get changed, focus on the game. And if we can help facilitate that, the better.
And it's another level. Now, you're a previous NPL 2 coach or VPL 1 or however every year it seems to change. Last year, you're the VPL 2 coach of the year. I guess the only thing missing is NPL coach, and that hopefully might come in a year's time when the club gets promoted. But we won't talk about that. But what we will talk about is you have seen the difference between, say, NPL, VPL 1 and VPL 2. How much of a difference is there between the three leagues? Not just standard of football, but just, I say, level of aggression, level of intensity, the professionalism or lack of in some of the maybe the lower divisions. How do you find the difference in all those three tiers?
It's an interesting one because they are definitely different ability-wise with each team. Technical ability is going to get better as you go up. Mm-hmm. Physicality, I think probably the VPL 1 and VPL 2 is probably more physicality-wise than the top NPL. NPL for me is obviously is strong, but it's the amount of chances that before you concede a goal, I mm-hmm. feel is a big thing. Mm-hmm. The more you go up, and we've seen it this year already, you don't get like 2 or 3 warning signs. You get one mistake, it's 1 goal against you. Teams just punish you for anything that may go wrong. So it's about being focused for 90 minutes as much as you can. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a team who's got a bench, like realistically, the bench of an NPL team would all start in the other 2 leagues below. Mm. So your squads are fuller, and obviously there's a level of professionalism in each team. So I mean, it is huge. The way that they build their squads. So I mean, I don't want to bring up the money situation, but it can be about money and about how clubs have more at disposal than other clubs, and that does benefit some teams. But at the end of the day, it's you've got more quality in your team, you're going to score more goals, defend better, and that's what I see.
Now, a few years back on Football Out West show, a good friend of ours, Craig Filer, came up with the coined the phrase competition or chaos competition for the second tier division. And it's the VPL 1 is a competition of chaos where on any day anyone can win. Now this weekend, Friday night, top of the table clash against Northcote City. Anything can happen, but some pundits have been actually saying Northcote City are the odds-on favourites to win the title. They've recruited heavily. They've really invested quite a fair bit in gaining promotion. Obviously, apart from a top-of-the-table clash and a tough one at that, what can we expect from the Warriors this Friday night at John Cain Reserve?
Well, hopefully 3 points.
That's what we'd like, 4 out of 4.
But we know that every game you go in this year is going to be tough. And look, I've literally just left the game today. where West United was playing Manningham. Manningham hadn't lost a game, and they just lost to West United, I think 6-3.
So there you go. Yeah, far out.
It is crazy, this league. And any given day, any team can beat another team. And we don't look at this as anything other than round 4. And I know that's a cliche, but we've played Melbourne Knights was a big occasion for us. We had North Sunshine, traditionally is a tough game to go to. And then we've just had the Croatian-Serbia sort of derby game, which is another big occasion. We had stacks of people here yesterday. So we've had 3 games that were heavily focused on the scenario of the teams.
Yeah.
And now we're going to North Kit, which, as you just said, is top of the table clash. But end of the day, to me, it's round 4.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you're going to go enjoy the game itself, and hopefully the win will make it even sweeter. But so too will the Souvlaki's after the game. I hear North City are renowned for that. But look, overall, apart from all that, mate, I love chatting to you about football globally, and we can talk about it for hours on end. Let's look at the Geelong soccer scene as a whole. I mean, obviously it's a state election year, so the pollies are going to be out promising this and that, and everyone talks about how we want a regional facility here in Geelong. But what's your wish? What's your hope for Geelong soccer in 2026? What's your kind of wish list or up the top there?
I mean, it's right. We do know that this region, as in the whole of Geelong, needs a facility that can cater everyone. We've seen it that they've got it in Ballarat, they've got it in
Bendigo, Shepparton, you name it.
They've got all that. Geelong doesn't have it.
No.
And it'd be great to have a place where we know that we can have in my mind sometimes I think that Kidinya Park is underutilised.
Yeah.
I know West United play some games out of there, but why not have more games, more local games there, or maybe have a gala day where you've got all the state league teams, any derby games or something have there. I don't know. I just feel that we can do a lot more.
And that was Stuart Begg speaking there. Caught up with him just last night. We really appreciate that. And as he mentioned just very briefly, wouldn't he love a new facility, better use of facility? And that is going to be a very, very important thing, as we said, this year. We're really asking all of you to go over to the Football Victoria website and to fill out that survey to really get your local member of parliament, whether it's council, whether it's state level, federal level, and really harp the point that we do need an improvement to our facilities. So thank you to Stuart for mentioning that. Folks, that brings us to the end of this week's show, our first episode back for 2026. We'll be here every Monday night, so from 8 p.m. So we certainly urge you to come on board, join us each week as we deliver you all the latest news, views, and goings on from the Geelong football scene. Who would you like to be interviewed? Who would you like to come on the show as a guest? Drop us a line at communitysportsmedia@gmail.com. That's communitysportsmedia@gmail.com. Or private message us via any one of our social media platforms, whether it's on Facebook, our YouTube channel. And by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, because that is where we're going to be able to keep all of our past episodes as a storage facility. Facebook these days, they get rid of the live reels after 4 weeks. So we do implore you to go over to YouTube, subscribe there, and you'll be able to watch, episodes from last year, the year before, etc. Like I said, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you very much for being a part of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast community. We'll see you again next weekend. Bye-bye.